Good afternoon, preppers. Welcome to Goshen Prepping. I want to focus today on some real attributes of prepping that you need to focus on. And I feel that the majority of Americans don't think about this. They don't want to think about this. Because prepping, it's far more than just stockpiling. Of course, you want to stockpile some food. You want to stockpile water, not to mention other things too. But prepping goes far beyond simply just having a prepper pantry, and beyond simply just doing drills too, which also is incredibly vital. But you know what else is vital? Is you need to be healthy. You need to be ready to run. Now, don't turn it off, because I understand that when it comes to exercising, being healthy, it's one of those things where we wish we could do it every single day. And the wish remains there and remains elusive as a sedentary lifestyle sets in, where it's easy after a long day of work to sit down and watch some TV or YouTube videos, whatever the case may be. But doing some kind of exercises and keeping healthy is vital. Understand the word vital, okay? It means life or death. It means if you don't do this, you will die. Be able to actually keep healthy will keep you alive. And I know that sounds like common sense, but the vitality of exercise and such, I think people kind of think, well, I don't worry about doing exercise and I just hope I don't die. But they're related, because we often find that when people start getting sick in a certain area, especially as you get older and you're not doing what you can to keep shape, then it actually will cause disease in other states, then cause other diseases and other diseases, and it's a cascading effect. And a person who was never on pharmaceuticals will get put on one drug, and then 2 and 3, and then next thing you know, they have a whole bag full of drugs they're on because the cascading effect kicks in, and next thing you know, they're dead. And this happens often. This is what I've seen as a physician for so many years. And it's so difficult to try to get people to understand that you need to take a proactive role about your health. We think rice and beans is important. And of course, if crap hits the fan, you got to have the food to stay alive. But being healthy is actually more important, because on your deathbed, you can eat all the rice and beans you want. You're still on your deathbed and you're going to die. Okay, this seems to go against often what we see in Western thoughts, especially when it comes to the word health. Because in Western medicine, even I'll put it in the word medicine, but in Western thoughts, we don't really think about healthy. Oh, is this person healthy? Often instead we think about, is this person not have any diseases going on right now? Okay, because we don't simply go up and say, hey, how healthy do you feel? We don't. Well, instead we'll say, how do you feel? Do you have anything going on right now? Are you sick? Or of course, we're actually very eager to say, hey, so how are you doing, Mom? Oh, really? You have another gallstone? Whatever the case may be. And we love to talk about the different diseases we have. And instead, it actually puts the limelight on the diseases, which instead we actually should show a limelight on prevention of the diseases. And that is completely against Western medicine. All right. We tend to think we can hunker down, eat our supplies, and ride it through, but the lack of health, your lack of healthiness, is what's going to kill you. Is lack of health the same thing as having a disease? And it depends on what dictionary you look at, because what modern medicine, especially Western medicine, believes that not having a disease must make you healthy. However, most nutritionists, most naturopathics, most people who actually are truly concerned about health don't simply look at it's a lack of disease. Instead, they'll say something like, health is your optimum position you have in your body. Are you doing everything you can to keep yourself optimally primed? Because you can actually find some guy who's sitting on the couch for 3 weeks long and does eat nothing but McDonald's fries and sits around and does nothing all day. And sure, he may be a little bit on the B side, but he doesn't walk, he doesn't run, he doesn't do anything healthy-wise. Is he healthy? Well, modern medicine will say he is, because guess what? Technically speaking, he doesn't have any diseases right now, but he's heading down a path that is obviously going to have that happen in the future. So stop thinking about absence of disease. You need to start thinking about what you can do to be proactive to keep yourself that way. I want to talk real quick about where this came from in modern medicine, because I know like a lot of people like history. Because in the early 1800s, there were all kinds of doctors in the United States. There were medical doctors, there were osteopaths, there were chiropractors, there were magnetic healers, there were naturopathic doctors, there was acupuncturists, there was Chinese medicine, and fill in the blank, the list goes on. In fact, you could actually make up your own type of medicine and call yourself a doctor, because the doctor back then was not 8 years of school either. All right, so because there was all this craziness and all these things going on, And because the government wanted to actually try to focus on what they actually regulated as far as being healthy and what we could do as far as medicine goes, the American Medical Association was formed, and they successfully lobbied to Congress to say that they should be the primary doctors of this country. And voila, here we are. Modern medicine, MDs are the primary doctors in the country. And therefore, they actually make all the health decisions, literally, for mankind, at least in the United States. And literally, it's taught in modern medical school. I need you to understand this and listen to this. You're the doctor. Your patient will come to you and say, I don't want to be on that drug. And then literally you have to basically provoke them and say, listen, patient, and not saying so many words. Did you go to medical school? Did you have 8 years of college? Do you have the training I have in my head? You're too dumb to think for yourself. So therefore, as a medical doctor, it's my job to tell you what you need. Literally, this is what's taught in medical school. Keep this in mind. And I mean, honestly, in some ways, there's truth to it if modern medicine wasn't skewed down the path of what? Drugs and surgery. And that's what the American Medical Association and medical doctors stand for, are drugs and surgery. And I was all about this. I was actually considering to be a surgeon at one point. Drugs and surgery, drugs and surgery. And that is the primary focus of modern medicine. And if you didn't know that, it kind of makes sense now, doesn't it? You go in there, and the doctor says, say, what's going on with you today? Oh, I've got such and such problem. Okay, drugs or surgery, which one are we going to use to fix it? We've actually had situations with my wife, Ashley, where she had a situation in which drugs could actually fix the problem or surgery could. And the doctor instantly was like, okay, let's schedule it for surgery. And we're like, I don't think so. At the very least, let's try the drugs first. And he was like, all frustrated. Why? Money. It's big bucks to go with the surgery avenue. And we see this time and time again, especially just, for example, with cesarean sections. Oh, you know what? The baby doesn't know when it's time to come. Your body doesn't know anything. So let's go ahead and, I know it's like 5 weeks out, like there's actually nothing threatening anyway. Let's go ahead and schedule a C-section. And they know that once they do the C-section, then it's probably going to lead to more C-sections if you have more babies later. Big, big money. But of course, we know the American Medical Association and the pharmacy and all those things make big, big money. Okay, so here we are. Modern times, nothing is about prevention of disease. It's all about simply just trying to fix problems. It's not about being healthy. It never was about being healthy. It was about let you do what you want to, feel like crap, trash your body, and then when you come down at this point, then we'll pump you full of drugs or give you surgery to try to fix the problem. Is that interesting? And I'm sure some of you already knew that, but I want you to understand the motivations, the motivations of modern medicine. That's where it's at. Okay, now they don't talk at all about sugar. Sugar and processed foods are absolutely atrocious. There's actually foods out there right now that literally, when you eat these foods, they have actually been known flat out to make you sterile, cause disease, cause cancer. And these foods are looked at by the American Medical Association and the Food and Drug Administration as, oh, it's fine. You know what? You can go ahead and add these ingredients to your foods. And of course, in our modern America, not only do we actually find people who want to try to sit around a lot and sit around watching TV a lot, but then they'll actually eat these foods because it takes far less work to actually make this food instead of actually making something from scratch. Because the processed stuff in there, is it really there simply to make the food so it lasts longer shelf life? I'm sure some of it was actually, that was the original idea, but they've actually been known to cause, some of them cause sterility. They've actually been known to cause disease. Have you ever actually had it where you're like, you know what? I'm too tired. I'm going to eat this fill in the blank processed food. And after you eat it, you're like, I feel awful right now. And that's the things you feel. Imagine some of the things that's doing in your body that you can't feel, disease states heading in that direction. So nutritional therapy in itself is actually on the rise. I don't know if you know that. But let's go ahead and look at sugar real quick. I want to show you an article that might actually open your eyes even a little bit more. What is this tower we see? Oh, the sugar conspiracy. Look at this. In 1972, a British scientist sounded the alarm that sugar and not fat was the greatest danger to our health. But his findings were ridiculed and his reputation ruined. How did the world's top nutrition scientists get so wrong for so long? And I'm not going to go through the articles, but I want you to kind of show what's happening here. 50 years ago, sugar industry quietly paid scientists to point blame to fat. Not only 50 years ago, but even modern, there is still such an assault on fatty foods, which we've actually found, you ready for this? That the drastic increase in Alzheimer's may be, in fact, it probably is linked to the fact that people are being pushed on these low-fat diets constantly. Fat is good for you. And I've mentioned this on the channel before, and many of you are going to laugh with me on this because it's pathetic, that the research is absolutely clear. There's no doubt about this. You understand, if there's anything that's fact I've ever taught you, it's this. You ready? Sugar, when you eat too much sugar, it rises your sugar level so much, your body will turn it into fat. The fat that you have around your belly is not from eating fat. It's from eating sugar. Get that in your mind. And I'm being kind of drastic about this because every time I put a video out and talk about this, people will argue with me and say, oh, no, it's fat that causes the fat. It's the fat that causes these problems. And the reason they're having these problems is because they're eating too much fat. And if you believe that, you're flat out wrong. You are wrong. You are listening to the last 50 years of the American Medical Association bullshit that they've put out, trying to get people to think that sugar is okay and fat is bad for you, when we actually see drastic increase in diseases linked to both cases. You need to do your research because the American Medical Association, understand, is not on your side. They're on the side of the government. They're on the side of pushing their agenda. They're on the side of money. This is coming from me, where I lived in that world and thrived in that world. And I have completely run the opposite direction. This is so important you understand this. So please don't put in the comments below that, oh no, you're wrong. The fact you're showing your ignorance. Okay? Harsh words, but you need to think about this because every time I put a video out about this, somebody says, oh no, sugars are okay for you. They are not. Also, I want to add into this exercise. Having a sedentary lifestyle is so detrimental to your health. And this actually is one thing that modern medicine does talk about, but they don't talk about it with their patients near as much as they should. You know, it's funny because health plan coverages, I know there are some of them that actually will cause or may allow to pay for like gym memberships now, which is like, I applaud you for this. But think about this. If you're obese, if you are massively obese, which obviously is causing some serious problems, how much time do you think the general physician is going to tell that person, listen, you really need to lose this weight. Listen, you really need to go to the gym. Listen, you really need to eat better. And I would argue and say that most physicians will probably say something like, you need to lose some weight. But then they'll kind of stop there and just let the person do what they want to, because you know what? I know in a lot of cases they don't want to try to push it because the person's not going to really listen anyway. But they need to try to make them listen. I mean, think about this motivation, and I hope they don't have this motivation, is that they really don't try to push that. Well, they know that they're actually going to get more doctor's visits and actually pay for more steak dinners in their lives, because obviously being obese causes a lot of payment to come into the doctor's office because obesity and a sedentary lifestyle, there we go, is absolutely things that cause massive problems. In fact, actually having a sedentary lifestyle, please forgive me, can actually lead to this. Obviously, increased causes of all mortality, double the risk of cardiovascular disease, diabetes, obesity, increased risk of colon cancer, high blood pressure, osteoporosis, lipid disorders, interesting, depression, and anxiety. Simply just by not getting out and exercising. Interesting. We're not talking about eating right. We're not talking about even just like doing some weightlifting or like what we try to do in our family in martial arts and things like that. We're not talking about that. We're just simply going for a walk. Walking and swimming by far are some of the best exercises you can do that are actually the least impactful on damaging your body. Like, I love to run. I don't jog like I used to, but in martial arts in class, we have to run, and I still love it. But I'll tell you, it's not good for your knees. It's definitely not good for your older body, and arthritis will kick in later. But swimming and going for walks, we're not talking like a leisure stroll for like 3 minutes. We're talking about really getting up, getting your heart rate going, and walking as they're really trying to push it now 10,000 steps, which is like vital because you're taking it away from that sedentary lifestyle where you're sitting around just watching YouTube videos or doing what you do. Maybe you sit in an office all day, to actually getting your heart going. And that alone right there could easily save your life. Not only save your life as far as keeping you healthy, but understand shit hits the fan is coming soon to a neighborhood near you. And if you actually have it where you sit around all day, if you're an armchair captain watching YouTube videos and saying, I can't wait to live in the woods when I bug out, and you don't do anything for exercise at all, and I'm not talking about walking in the kitchen to get another snack, I'm talking about real exercise, you're the first to go down because your body is not used to this. Have you gone for a hike? A rigorous hike? Have you gone for a rigorous hike with a backpack? Have you gone for a rigorous hike with a backpack while people are coming after you? Add in lack of food, lack of shelter, lack of sleep. You're gonna die. You need to prep in those directions. Even if shit doesn't hit the fan, your life depends on this. So again, we prep with food and water and things to protect ourselves. Absolutely good. But you have to understand, you must not just sit around. You have to do what you can to get healthy. Don't put too much faith in your preps, because when that time comes, you'll actually die from disease rather than from the lack of preps.